CBN's Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now with more. Chris, good to see you. So media reports say the massive Al-Assad base, which has many U.S. soldiers, had Patriot air defenses installed last year after the first Iranian attack. Chris, do we know why those defenses didn't deploy?
I don't think we know exactly why they didn't, George, but you would expect the Patriot missiles to be deployed and in an attack like this. Maybe it's possible the missiles of the rocket attack this morning wasn't quite as large as the one in January 2020. If you look at the footage from CENTCOM in January 2020, these were missiles that had 1,000-pound warheads, extremely large, and perhaps maybe something like the Iron Dome would have been a better precaution or defense against these rockets at this massive base inside Iraq.
Iran has a vast network of militia groups around the Middle East. Do they have a common goal? And what's the U.S. doing to stop their influence?
Well, the goal, George, is actually to have a hegemony. They want to have a sort of an arc all the way from Tehran to the Mediterranean Sea. This is the goal of Iran. These Iranian Shiite proxy groups are all led, funded by Iran. We're actually up there not just a few years ago after ISIS had devastated much of this area. And what happened is that many of these Iranian Shiite militias came in and really influenced that Nineveh plain in many ways. So the people, many of the believers that had been attacked, persecuted by ISIS, now many of them are under the influence or the sway of these Iranian groups. What the U.S. is doing is to try to maintain some sort of military presence to be able to serve as a buffer against this encroachment, this road, sort of Shiite road, all the way from Iran to Lebanon. They have bases in Syria and Jordan as well, and Iraq. So the U.S. at least has a presence there to thwart these groups.
Chris, despite today's attack, Pope Francis says he's still planning to visit Iraq on Friday. Man, such a high-profile visit has to be a nightmare for security officials, right?
Oh, definitely, I am sure. But I think, George, it's actually a sign of hope. I was watching some video earlier today about the largest church in Karakosh. We were there just after ISIS had been defeated, and this particular church had been ransacked by ISIS. They had burned all the books in the library. There was a heap of ash there left. Now I was watching volunteers clean that. They were used at target practice. They burned the pews. Now I saw the church being restored. So I think the Pope's visit is really, as he calls it, an act of love. I think it's going to bring hope to the believers there in the Nineveh Plains and throughout Iraq. And it's a symbolic sign to Christians around the Middle East.
Yeah, real quickly, last 30 seconds, dig deeper on that. What is the goal of the Pope's four-day visit?
Well, he's sending a signal. Part of it will be an interfaith dialogue. He's going to be speaking with the Ayatollah Sistani there inside Iraq. But I think ultimately it's a sign to believers. They're not forgotten. We are with you. We pray for you. We support you. And I think it's a very important sign for Christians, Catholics throughout Iraq that have been devastated by first Al-Qaeda, then ISIS, and now many of these Iranian Shiite groups.
Okay, terrific. Chris, we'll have to leave it there. As always, sir, thanks so much for coming on the broadcast.
Great to be with you, George.